Here we go, it is concert season in November, and there are some great ones coming to town, and Detroit Rock City November is usually a light month for music and shows before the December run up to Christmas and New Year's, but concerts this month actually do not disappoint, and the comedy scene is solid. Don't forget guys, Hamilton is back. Oh wait, I haven't said that one yet, we'll get to it. In this video, we're gonna be covering some concerts, some comedy shows that are coming to Metro Detroit and Ann Arbor, and everyone, I do have an ask. I'm looking for a reliable site that I can tell when tickets will be going for sale for future shows. I cannot seem to find a great one, and my intention is to add the upcoming ticket sales so you can get tickets in, let's say, November for a February show, aka you're not having to go to StubHub and pay outrageous prices if you can avoid it. I cannot stand, almost more than anything, finding out about a great show like 2 weeks in advance and finding the tickets are like $500 and the actual ticket was 80 or even as low as 60 bucks when I get the ticket when it's shipped over from StubHub and I see what the first sales price was. And really, who can afford these prices right now? If you're new to the channel, I'm Mike Perna, local real estate agent in Metro Detroit for over 20 years, and I make videos about upcoming concerts and family events and the communities I love to serve and keep people up to date on the world of finance, local shows going on, local restaurants that are popping up, everything. Subscribe if you haven't done so you can keep up with our videos as we post them. Give the like button a bop, and here we go. November 2nd, Jane's Addiction and the Smashing Pumpkins, and they are both still going strong. Those are some old names, right? They are back in Michigan at Little Caesars Arena. They've both been around for about 30 years and they put on a great show. The name of the band, Jane's Addiction, actually came from one of the roommates of a couple of the band members, Jane and her addictions. And that story actually has a good ending. Jane ended up getting help and eventually kicked her addiction. And whoever thought of putting barking dogs in a song is genius, and also why I don't write music. I have no fun facts about the Smashing Pumpkins other than Billy Corgan didn't do so great as a solo artist, so he's back with the Smashing Pumpkins. Also November 2nd, still in Detroit at the Majestic, Tegan and Sara are coming. I haven't seen them in that small of a venue, but I imagine from seeing them at Lollapalooza that these guys are going to do great. So this band was formed in 1998 in Alberta, Canada, but they both play multiple instruments and they did a song that's both a bit catchy and annoying in the Lego movies. Everything is awesome. Their new album came out on October 31st, and I will not be at this show. I will actually be at Little Caesars for Jane's Addiction and Smashing Pumpkins because I feel like that's going to be the show to go to. November 4th, Cheap Trick is coming to the McMorman Place Sports and Arena Center in Port Huron. A little bit of a drive for me, but that's okay. For the kids out there, they formed in 1973 and they've had the same lead singer from that day to this day, but didn't get their breakthrough until 1979 with their live version of I Want You to Want Me at the Budokan Arena in Tokyo. They wrote and also played Surrender in 1988, and they performed live more than 5,000 shows. And at this point, I think we can all agree that they are definitely a master of their craft. November 7th, and these guys are added in because I saw them once as an opening band for Counting Crows, and they did a great job. Too Many Zooz. It's a super creative 3-person instrumental band that falls under jazz, Afro-Cuban funk, EDM, and house, and they call themselves Brass House and gained popularity when a tourist posted a photo of them taken with their phone when they were actually playing and taping a video in the subways of New York. So they ended up making that into their premiere music video for the band. Look up Bedford on YouTube, Too Many Zooz. They also do some really great covers like Bad Guy by Billie Eilish, Hips Don't Lie by Shakira, Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson, of course Smells Like Teen Spirit, which is one of my favorite things to remake, by Nirvana, and the obligatory I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. Though, I do believe that the best cover of that song still remains, and I will fight anybody on this fact, still remains the one by Cake on their first album, Fashion Nugget, back in the 90s. I believe it was track 7. So that band came out back when you had to like buy a whole album to get one song, and in this case, it was The Distance. And then, of course, pretty much everybody that did that always slowly fell in love with the entire albums. November 10th, at the L Club, Death from Above 1979 is playing, and it's a great space. Only about 400 people can fit in it. Now, they took their name from the motto painted on the front of Lieutenant Colonel Bill Kilgore's helicopter in the 1979 film Apocalypse Now. Now, they've got a couple of hits. Take a listen. Tell me where you are, and I'll get in warmer. You freeze me with that look when I go undercover. Their biggest one is Freeze Me, eclipsing 58 million downloads to this date. On November 11th, P.O.D. is coming to St. Andrews Hall. If I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. At the opposite side of the street, at the opposite end of the block, are the best wings in all of Metro Detroit and probably Michigan. Anyone who says different, we're gonna have words. And for real, always looking for a great wing place. If you know one, shoot it with the comments below. But that would be Sweetwater Tavern. Sweetwater Tavern in Detroit. Best wings in the area. Now, if P.O.D. is not your thing, and it is definitely not my thing, you can go back to the skankin' 90s on the 11th. At the Magic Bag, Squirrel Nut Zippers are playing, which is kind of a one-hit wondrous kind of band, but they really do put on a great show. They were part of the brief swing revival in the 1990s, contributed to it with their song Hell in 1996. November 12th, Bobby Brown is coming to the Fox. Not really commenting further on this one. It's a point of information, really. This information in no way changes my life. Going back to the early 2000s, AFI is playing at the Majestic on the 14th. I've seen these guys a couple of times, and yes, I was absolutely 100% that pop punk kid. Like so many others, these guys come out of California, and they had formed in 1991. They started as hardcore punk, horror punk, whatever that is, post-hardcore, which I think is that they realized that they weren't hardcore, so stopped trying to be hardcore. And they finally settled into alternative rock and have a surprisingly strong following for such a small band. Their #1 song has been downloaded over 200 million times on Spotify. On the 15th, if you're in Windsor, and I think this show is totally worth the drive, first time we've mentioned a Windsor show, the Offspring are playing with A Simple Plan at the casino. Now, I'm definitely too fly for a white guy. That song was absolutely about me. No, I'm kidding. I was actually pretty preppy. I mean, check the best. The Offspring was off to a pretty auspicious start back in 1984 in Garden Grove, California, and probably had no idea how popular they would get in the 90s. They've rotated through roughly 24 band members over almost 4 decades. And in fact, their first drummer, who was only there for like 3 or 4 years during their college run, is now a successful gynecologist practicing in California. And his real claim to fame, and really his only claim to fame, is that he was accused of medical malpractice. And during the trial, one of the jurors went into cardiac arrest and he administered CPR, saving his life. The judge immediately declared a mistrial because all the other jurors would be biased towards him, and yet he won the case anyway. Now, the article about this incident was pretty aptly titled, "Pretty Fly for an OBGYN." The Offspring are credited alongside Green Day for the mainstream revival of pop punk, and for one, I am glad that they did. The Offspring has gone on to sell over 40 million albums worldwide. I mean, they're not the Beatles, but like who is? Head up to Royal Oak on the 19th for Streetlight Manifesto at the Royal Oak Theater. I really don't know much about them. A friend mentioned that he'd love to see him play. He said I would like them. I actually went and saw them play. I did not. Saving a great one for last on the music side, Hamilton is back at the Fisher Theater running from November 15th through December 8th, with 2 shows on Saturdays and Sundays. And when his Detroit run is over, if you want, you can say you were in the room where it happened. That was about as cheesy as a play on the word. Okay, we're skipping that. So the room where it happens is actually a song, but it's a really clever song about a secret dinner between Alexander Hamilton, the founder of our modern financial system, and Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, striking a deal for Jefferson and Madison to support Hamilton's plan, and in return, Hamilton supporting Washington, D.C. on the Potomac, which is the current site of our nation's capital, effectively putting it into what was then considered the South. Washington, D.C. was considered the South, versus the previous plan of having our nation's capital, New York City. All in all, a great show, super entertaining telling of history, intrigue, and compromise that is a part of history. And if you're up for something a little later, Elf the Musical is playing at the Fox November 22nd to 27th, and is probably just a skosh bit more kid-friendly. Moving on to the comedy shows. November 3rd and 4th for 2 shows, and the 5th for 2 shows, John Heffron is coming to the stage. This is a seriously funny dude. I've seen him a couple of times on TV. Haven't seen him live, but I'm looking for it. He won the 2nd season of Last Comic Standing and has been on The Late Show, HBO, FX, VH1, and more. Continuing on to the comedy scene in November. On the 5th, Tracy Morgan is heralding in at the Aretha Jazz Cafe. He does a great set, and from what I watched a couple of his YouTube clips and specials, he kills. Sunday, November 6th, Michael Rapaport is taking the stage at Mark Ripley's for 2 shows only, and those tickets are going to go fast. Expect a lot of swearing if his comedy is anything like his cameos on Cameo. November 19th and 20th, Jim Gaffigan is playing at the Fox, and this dude has some serious accolades. 6-time Grammy-nominated comedian, actor, writer, producer, 2-time best-selling author, 3-time Emmy-winning performer, and a multi-platinum record-selling comedian. He's been in Bob's Burgers, Super Troopers, but my favorite is that he played Van Helsing in Hotel Transylvania 4.
Oh no, not this clown again.
Good evening, travelers.
I am Professor Abraham Van Helsing. Yes.
And that is everything going on as far as shows and comedy in Metro Detroit in November 2022. Thank you so much for watching and going on this journey with us. If we can help you find your next home or get the maximum value with the least amount of stress on your current home, give us a call anytime at 248-221-2777. Shoot me an email that's on the screen here. Don't forget to subscribe to stay informed with when our next videos are coming out. Give it a like so more people can see it, and make it a great day.